5 rounds left to go of the LCR season, and we arrived in Austin, Texas for the Circuit of the Americas here to host round 12 of LCR Season 9. My name, of course, is the voice of LCR Nut Head, playing the action as per usual. Alongside me is the OG voice in F1, Ben. And let's have a look. Just a few minutes ago, we had a gripping and epic qualifying session, and here is your grid for it. So, pole number 38 on his LCR career. LCR Leopard scores another pole position on his late championship surge, where he still could become a 6-time champion, but has got it all to do today. Melanie starts from second, though, alongside him for Mercedes. Row 2 begins with the second of the two Williams in the championship of Boris Levels, who currently sits 6th in the championship, starts from third state, and the championship leader, after the success of last week, taking his second victory of the year, starts only from P4. The Alfa Romeo got a bit of work to do ahead of him. Row 3 begins with the other championship contender of Sims in the Williams, with F-Ray Vivid the head of the two Americans and the head of the two Racing Points in P6, with his teammate Billy G Clone alongside him in P7. Then looking back to FXB Mont at the back of row 4 for the runners, the only run on the grid today, FXB Dean unavailable. And row 5, running outside the top 10, begins with Shazoo Mulder, the second of the two Red Bulls, both Red Bulls in the top 10. They are very much the team to beat in LCR at the moment. And the McLaren of Aiden rounding out the top 10. And row 6, fresh choice of tyres, amazed. The man that sits 5th in the championship has to settle for P11 today, but has the fresh choice of tyres, so he could make a late surge. LCR Apex with a strong qualifying, he is P12. Pierre Gelato, the second of the two McLaren, starts from P13, with Brad, the second of the two Americans, starting from 14th today on row 7. And row 8 at the back of the field begins with the only Haas and the only American-based team of Flying Finn, starting from 15th, and Daniel SKF making his debut today. The reserve starts from P16. But as you can see, drivers are thick and fast. As I mentioned, of course, my name, of course, is the voice of LCR. Alongside me in just a few moments will be F1 Ben. He will be back shortly. But that qualifying session really was a very, very tight affair. And at the death, we thought maybe Melanie had done enough to snatch pole position away and take what would be a very historic day for the Finn and score his first LCR career pole. But he had to settle for only a front row start, because at the end of the day, the old German dog of LCR Leopard come home with the P1 in qualifying. Of course, he's only won once here in his LCR career, way back in season 3. He was in a Red Bull then, alongside the Ferrari of Drizzt's Revenge back in those days. But now, here today, he looks to try and make it a second victory, but still has a lot of work ahead of him, as do a lot of the drivers really in the championship hunt. Ben is fortunately back, so quickly, Ben, your thoughts on qualifying?
Right, yes, qualifying. But it was a very, very decent session, very overall. Melanie getting his pole position stole from him right at the very end. We now migrate host. Please don't let him lobby reset. It might be, I don't know. Drivers are pulling up to the grid. We've lost the host of the session. It's a bit problematic, but is that disconnect or is that a... I've not seen the problem with the chat about being a restart. So, it was normal.
We'll have to wait and see as we get ready for the 5 red lights here in America, as the final 2 cars park up on the grid here in COTA. This could be a really exciting Grand Prix. Keep your eye on this one in terms of the championship. You're going to have information about to 3, 4, 5 red lights, and LCR Season 9 is off in USA. It's a good start there for Melanie compared to Leopard, heading down towards turn 1. It's got alongside him, also Perundi alongside Boris Levels is Vivid, also squirms away, trying to find a way past Clone as well, 3 wide down towards turn 1, but Melanie leads, Leopard 4 star wide, Perundi gets up to P2 as well, Vivid into P3, and then 3 wide heading down towards turn 2, Boris trying to hold his own against Leopard as well, as they now come down towards the S's for the first time. Melanie safely leads, ahead of Perundi, ahead of Vivid, and ahead of Boris, Leopard down to 5th, and alongside his teammate. They were practically 9 position to start at the start, and in the end they're side by side as they come through towards the second sector. Leopard holds on, and Apex falls down to last as well. What a disastrous start for the pole sitter.
Well, I don't know. It was a big send from Leopard trying to get on the outside tour, but if you get on that outside curb, you lose all traction contact between Leopard and Forest now. Clone is going to get on Tomato. I believe Clone has actually lost place on that. Yeah, he's down by 4. So again, he must have been hung out on the outside line. Charging down there, Melanie leads, Broadly second, Vivid third, Forest 4th, Leopard 5th. Leopard's got to be tactical now. Can't just go sending up these moves in. He's still got a championship to chase. But remember, I was just talking. I said at the end of qualifying, if the results stay as they are, gap was from 40 points down to 27. Now it's going up by a solid. Yes, solid 8 points. So it's gone from 40 points, which is becoming, which you can stare at it with 4 rounds to go. That's near insurmountable.
Yeah, but Mulder does a really good job. He managed to get the jump on Leopard as well as Mulder on the very first lap, 3-second time mark. We expect a few of them. We didn't really mention it in qualifying, but it is very easy to cut around here as once again the lobby screens decide to glitch as we begin lap number 2. But do not be fooled, there's still Melanie who leads, ahead of Perundi and ahead of Vivid, who's doing a really good job, had a really good launch, and was 3 wide with the 2 Williams as well. What's happened?
Mulder.
Oh! When did that happen?
He was driving backwards.
Hey? Now we should get the screen back. Yes, we do. So we're back now to normal standings, but disaster there for the Red Bull after what was actually a pretty good start. It wasn't the best qualifying from Mulder.
Benson slow on Aiden. Later on P9, but...
In terms of time, we don't have a chance to talk about Piccinato on the medium, same with Mays, who started in 11th, now to 8th position. Brad up to the softs outside the top 10. Flying Finn and Apex went for mediums, and Daniel SKF went for softs as Aiden was very late on the brakes there at turn 12, trying to go the long way round on Clone, but Clone was having none of that after being, well, I suppose being dive bombed. You rode one back, I suppose, but the top 5 currently in the DRS train, and the crucial thing as well, changing them to Sims, dropped a second behind Leopard, and you don't want to be doing that around a circuit like this.
Absolutely not. You not want to be the cork in a bottle around this track, because those DRS straights, they may not look that particularly long. I can promise you, they are quite particularly long. Melody now, fast lap of the race, Burundi sitting just behind him. Tim's actually fast lap of the race. So, I think I shot the pair of us up for a second there.
Yeah, what do I know?
Yeah. What do you know?
Clearly,
what else LCR podium?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm talking to a guy that's had multiple this season. Hasn't had a race win though as Sims. Maybe that could change today, but still a very long way to go in this.
I need a bit of chaos.
Now DRS gets a save, and FXBR Mon goes and grabs his first penalty of the day. Perundi, very, very squeamish, shall we say, in that first and second sector, and that's allowed Vivid to close up the course. And Vivid scored his, become the 59th different podium sitter in LCR history last round. Russia, of course, is a Native American, wants to score a podium here today, but probably even more, wants to get some payback, because you know, let's remember rightly, he was battling Perundi and Leopard, and they in the end just sort of showed him the way out, and I'm sure he wants payback for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? If you're battling two of the best who have ever graced these games, and they shove you into a wall, not quite a wall, but metaphorically, they just shove you out of the way like nobody cares, maybe it's time for Vivid to show up and prove his own. I mean, Melody's doing it right now. Rally champion, of course. Melody's showing them some real speed right now. If we can keep this gap up to Perondi, we can keep this gap solid to Perondi, and maybe we'll be in for a pretty good race.
Yeah, as I mentioned, there's still a very long way to go in this one. So now begin lap number 4 of the US Grand Prix here in LCR. As I mentioned, after this one, just 4 rounds left to go. Mexico, Abu Dhabi, Japan and Brazil to end our season, the first season on F1 2020 that so far has proved to be an absolute blockbuster as the story continues to unfold. Speaking of which, Amazing Clone battling away here for P8. Clone trying to go around the outside at turn 2, now at turn 3. Amaze forced to back off, but Amaze doesn't really need this. He's on the medium, so he must be trying to defend from those soft guys to try and take advantage later in the race, because now he's got to get back past him.
Well, he nearly hit him. Oh, they did make contact. A couple of times, actually. Leopard, hang on. Oh, that's quite a menacing sight, now. You look behind, you just see this, like, matte. Well, it's not matte-like, but it's basically matte-like. He's almost like he's driving a villain's car, Leopard, this season. I kind of like it. He's got a run, looks to the inside of Boris, decides not to go with the move, locks up the front left tyre. Doesn't get the best exit, will look at the back of Boris, but doesn't go for the move. Of course, Leopard recently signed on Wednesday to ERL with a big move! And a big move down the inside of Boris. Big send. Not quite able to make the move.
Yeah, comes the hour, comes the man, really. LCR Leopard was on the prowl for Boris Letterbox there to take P4 away, but for now, Boris does enough to hold on, but the question is how much longer can he hold on, as Leopard has got a bit of cars ahead of him as he tracks down victory number 40 potentially if he can take the checkered flag today. Of course, as I mentioned, got the 38th career pole position. Now goes down the inside at turn 1 on Boris Letterbox, lunges him like there's no tomorrow. The Williams really caught napping, but he's going to try and hold his own through towards turn 2, almost mirroring what they've done on lap number 1. This time, however, Boris gets that. Leopard gets the outside line, and into P4 goes the Red Bull, and the Williams left brewing really.
That was very on the limit dive from Leopard there. There's kind of like an unwritten rule. If you're gonna dive bomb, at least don't kill them in the process. And that was very much on the limit of an accident. But Leopard did a very good job there, clattering into Boris. And Boris did a good job as well, seeing him coming and not clattering into him.
Vivid's getting really close here to Perunia. I should mention, by the way, we had confirmation in qualifying that it is a dry weekend, but it's very overcast here in Austin. It was the same as well as Pietro has gone off there. At the exit of turn 11, his teammates got past, and now Brad is forced to get a bit of his muscles out, but he wants to try and get past after the Italian went off. And we spoke about this in Russia. He's always been sort of there or thereabouts in terms of pace, but just not able to hook it up in the race. And going deep like that is another exact example of that statement.
He needs a street circuit, Pietro. It seems to work really well at street tracks, but struggles everywhere else. Leopard this time isn't close enough this time to send a monumental dive bomb, but it's probably thinking about it.
Yeah, the problem is, Boris had DRS, but there was sort of a bit of a gap to the car ahead, so he had a sort of like breathing room to slot into. This time, Vivid is very much on the tail of Birol Perundi, so he can't really slot himself in between because there is not really a gap to slot yourself in between two. So if he's going to do it, it's going to be a really opportunistic move.
Yeah, exactly. What you really do not want to do is just lose that DRS. The DRS goes, bye. It doesn't. Vivid has stalled the DRS. Same as last time out, Vivid has absolutely burnt it.
Maybe that's his problem. Maybe he gets too far ahead of himself. You just don't know sometimes, because I'm sure, I remember days when I used to sat, when I was at the podium.
Yes. Here we go.
As it goes Leopard to the inside at turn 14, leaving it lane contact, around goes Vivid.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. If you're going to go for a big send, you have to leave room for the car on the outside. And unfortunately for Leopard, that could have been a championship deciding move. Because he always has a big accident on the exit as well.
And of course, it's crucial to mention that I must admit, ever since Leopard's returned, it has been a very controversial storyline. I think that's the word I'm going to go with, because he has seen a fair share of steward action, which back when he was multiple-time champion, he'd get him to the lead and just lead. That was what he'd do. But now all of a sudden, he's come back. The roster is possibly the best it's been in a long time, and it's not going to go all his way. And it seems to just get to in that little bit.
Yeah. It almost like he drives a brilliant race, but he does it with like these little mistakes. I'm going to disagree with you there. I think to be honest, we've seen a bit more of a mature. This race seems to have been caught him out there. Maybe his mind thinks that he needs to be in front of Perondi, and everybody else around him isn't worthy. As Perondi down the inside takes the race lead. Maybe Perondi's realised that himself. Maybe Perondi in his head's thinking, if Leopard's bullying people out of the way, I don't want him to be bullying me. And now we'll have to think about a send on Melody, not quite, it gets close, but doesn't go from him. Just now see a message from Vivid. Nice dive bomb from the GOAT himself, to quote Vivid directly.
So yeah, this is a really interesting concept now, because obviously Perondi is just in Leopard can't go. I think, nah, not for me, thanks. Leopard darts in. Now I think
7.
Is that too early?
Well, mediums, almost certain. For hards,
Sims is also in behind him. Let's see if anyone else comes in.
It's medium.
These two guys. Medium's going on for Leopard.
Took him a second to
what
get
about
out.
Sims?
Sims, mediums as well for Sims.
Can you do Sims medium that long?
I think you can. Let's just do stop.
So
Break
out
up!
of the pits he comes.
Comfortably in front of Vivid, who didn't stop, but because of him being clattered, he kind of. Vivid say he's just can't be bothered anymore. Still driving to there, but I think he might be driving with a different purpose.
Yeah, I don't think he's the most happy. And I've got to say, you can't say you blame him.
Oh no, 100% no.
He's had some brilliant pace in the past 2 weeks. I mean, last week he was battling for the lead and then just kind of got thrown away as the race went on. And of course, the rain arrived and Burundi and Leopard were just that one step ahead. But then here this week, it was a good start by him. He got himself into the podium places. And Melanie, I'm sure that's who you're on about, was absolutely squirming the car at turn 12.
It was indeed. Melanie getting really, really loose, as we now should probably expect Burundi and Melanie into the pit lane just to cover any potential undercut. But prepared. Leopard has come out in traffic.
Burundi stays out.
Burundi stays out. I think maybe because he's seen that Leopard is behind Finn and Apex. Now I don't expect Apex to hold up Leopard that much, but Finn, I mean, he's on these medium tyres. No obligation to shift, and that's exactly what he's not doing. Everybody pretty much into the pits. Where is Melanie going to come out then in relation to the German? He might actually still be at risk. Big run for Leopard down the inside. On Finn, Melanie's there, and puts in front. Even with getting held up, Leopard still come out in front. Ups it out, big missed that from Melanie on cold tyres. Jack does his Roman Reigns impression there.
That could have spelled disaster for the Finn, but now it's Finn on Finn action. The only two Finnish drivers in LCR history battling away for the second soda. And in the end, Melanie gives him the cold shoulder and is now ahead. But the crucial thing as well is LCR Leopard, he's only got one car in front of him. And no offence, but it's LCR Apex. So this is going to be pretty much a brush on the side, if you will, as meanwhile Pedro
Everything turned down.
In a P12.
Everything turned.
At
least make it less obvious, guys. Come on.
To be fair, Dan's only got 6% ERS.
To be fair, maybe he had it. Maybe he had it turned up. Maybe he was defending. I don't know. We'll see. Does Prondy come in this time round? Got to, surely. Yeah, and he does.
Yeah, he's in.
That 9, Prondy into the pits, locks up the front left tyre. They've been looking
So
for.
where will he come out? He might even come behind Boris. He's had a really good stop, by the way. Sims has been caught napping, really. Because was he ahead of his teammate? I think he was.
No.
Oh, apologies.
Yeah, no, I wasn't noting that. Prondy gets out now. I was noting. Apex hasn't made it exactly up. Now he's making it easy to Mel. As here comes Prondy's easily got him. Leopard's miles ahead. Melanie in front. It's Boris in front as well. Prondy tries to send it to the corner. Nearly missed got him with Apex. Prondy tries to get it. Boris tries to get it on 4 times on the exit. Oh, for God's sake, it's Boris round.
No!
Boris round. Prondy has to pull him out Apex in the worst part of the track. I was more than Boris there. Boris tried to pull out. He tried to pull out. The high Apex expecting Prondy to give room, just absolutely just clattered to the side of him. And well, all fault there on Boris.
Oh, dear
That's how the
me.
fireworks go. Great.
Well, remember, the 25th of October, disaster day for Boris Lennox as the spin goes round there. Meanwhile, here comes Burundi on Apex. He should now be able to absolutely move with the DRS down the straight.
Oh my God.
And the Brazilian is
breaking down
in a different postcode.
It's like he's breaking down on the straight. What's he driving? An old Rover?
He's now let Sims go as well down that straight, and he's got a huge gaggle of cars coming up.
Or is he
just Boris?
Or is he just driving a real life Ferrari?
I mean, there's no need for that comment, is there? You know.
Well, I mean,
lap,
that's not exactly wrong.
so lap 11, we now have an interesting concept with all the pit stops happening. As you can see, only 5 cars, sorry, had to take a stop. There's Daniel SKF. Down in 15th is AI, he's actually left. So.
Not been back in the session. He left Twitch as well. But that's one way to make your debut, isn't it? He turned up.
Yeah, instant impact.
Yeah, you turn up, you get some airtime just for not being there. It's like...
Remember the name Daniel SKF in the LCR history.
Oh no, remember, it's Z Daniel SKF. The Daniel.
Well, in America, obviously, we'd say Z, whereas I'd say Z Daniel SKF.
Yeah, I say Z. I don't know why. Like V Sire.
Mansfield, the new state of the Americas.
Well, America actually does have a town called Mansfield in Ohio.
Yeah, a lot of places. Anyway, moving back on to the action that we have here today. We are on lap number 11 of 28 in LCR. It's currently Pietro that leads the way, despite not having to stop. Same with Amazed as well. But Leopard, after pulling off a miracle undercut, now leads the way on merit. It's Melanie second and Perundi in third. Sims in fourth as well, though, you would say, when all the stops happen. He could be in a good position. If penalties go his way and the cars Constantine are up, could the Williams actually walk out of a gaining on the championship?
Maybe? That's no close to the spin.
No, I think... Is he having lag issues? Because I think he just stopped.
Has he?
Boris now
no, he's
down
like
inside of
yeah, Boris clears Apex. Yeah, he is having quite a lot of stuff. He actually takes spin, which also isn't exactly isn't exactly having the best connection issues either.
It's not the best internet battle of Flying Finn versus BG Clone.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I've seen better internet. But,
of course, in LCR, for those that don't know, of course we have the 3 strikes and you're out system with the internet. Really, if you have reports of internet issues, then you get 1 strike, and again at another race it's 2 strikes. Once you hit the 3rd strike, unfortunately, you can't take part in the season, which I think is an issue with it being a world division. But obviously, lag is a big thing that impacts our enjoyment of this game and this community.
If that was in season 4, I would have been screwed. Like in season 4 was intriguing. At moments of being completely fine, and then moments of just being utterly terrible. That was a modern Leopard as he nearly put himself into a wall.
Of course, we haven't actually talked about sort of tyre, obviously, because obviously a lot of people were coming for the mediums as we expected. However, 2 guys further down, FXB Armand and Aiden, went for the hard tyres in their second stint. So they're just thinking, so this is the only reason I can think of this, is, right, I'm going to go on the harder tyres, I'll have a pace advantage at first, but I'll be there or thereabouts because of all the battling, and later in the race, I can just push, because I know my tyres will get to the end.
It's more of a security thing than anything else. You run these tyres out until God knows when. You can run these tyres to Mexico and back, and they'll probably still be decent. Aiden gets past Finn up into PA11. But they turn into loaded tyres, but you turn like the old Bridgestone tyres. Bar Canada. And remember that's in 2010 season where 1 stops are possible. Well, famous example of the perfect 1 stop. Monza, the Italian Grand Prix 2010. Crashing battles didn't hit until the final lap of the race that day. Yeah,
well, it's interesting as well, because talking about LCR history, you mentioned Canada. Of course, remember Mulder done a soft
This season.
This season. This season. I think this season's going too slowly. Even though FXB Armand now flies past Apex into P9. Again, the fact he's the lone runner on the grid. Of course, we've mentioned many times that it's not been compared to last season anyway, not exactly been the ideal season that Renault would have wanted. But Mont here today could score another points finish, and would actually be his 3rd points finish on the bounce. Come 10th place at Italy and Russia. So, credit where credit's due. He has been driving fairly okay. In fact, sorry, apologies, it'll be 4 weeks in a row because he got 5th place at Belgium as well.
Yeah. He's decent. He's been decent so far this season, and at the moment he's on for P7. At the moment, I think. So, there's a point for it.
Burundi goes against a penalty,
Yeah.
but he is getting close to Melanie, and Sims has dropped back nearly 5 seconds now behind these two. So this could be really interesting now to see where we go from here, because Melanie, of course, had a battle with Burundi earlier. To be fair, it was more or less pretty much a let go really from Melanie. He couldn't really defend it and lost the lead. And now these two are thinking, well, how on earth has Leopard got ahead of both of us? I want my opportunity to go challenge him.
I'm just been looking at shit lap times.
Oh, car off. Vivid's off.
Yeah, that's... I mean, Chris hasn't exactly been the best, has it? He's not... He's retired, he's just off. I was looking at the lap times of Leopard and Co. So Leopard been doing mid-34s at them. They've been doing 34.4 since the last lap, being exact. Melanie, 34.9. Brondy, 34.4. So Leopard and Brondy are left in the same place. Melanie, however, has been consistently the back end of the 34s. I don't think he's got the face of these medium tires to keep up with too.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. We don't quite know what's going to happen from here. Of course, we could see a safety car, because we've only seen technically 2 retirements this Grand Prix. Daniel SKF didn't even start the Grand Prix. Mulder had a really weird lag incident. God forbid, I hope it doesn't happen again, but I believe we could actually say that we couldn't actually make the entire race, didn't we? So maybe that was the reason for whatever happened.
Yeah, but it's like...
Burundi,
there's other ways to do it. Here we go. We've got battle for 12th place. Brad and Finn going at it. Brad makes the move. Finn trying to come back underneath him. A little bit deep. They nearly made contact. Beautiful race between these two so far, because these two LCR stalemates. Brad, of course, the runner-up in season 3. I named it back then the man who couldn't get a penalty, as he literally just gets a penalty. Same with Simple as well.
yeah. Yeah, it's quite incredible really to think. But meanwhile, here comes Leopards closing in on Maze, as is Burundi on Melanie, heading down towards 11, got the inside line, and the Brazilian this time will take it back, and it's almost a mirroring of what we saw on the soft tyres just about 7 or 8 laps ago really. Burundi now into 4th, Melanie down to 5th, and once again, it's back as you were.
Melanie not to fight that. Quite smartly, Dave. Didn't bother. The Leopard, however, is getting feisty with the Maze. What's the chances the Maze doesn't move? If he goes defensive. Because I wouldn't put it past him at all. Go defensive here. Not the best exit from Leopard compared to the Flying Scotsman. Does the Maze go middle of the track? No, he stays in the inside. Leopard's going to send it and stay. Full send. The Maze season coming. They make contact. The Maze is forced off the track. That was fully off. So again, will they look at that? He did force him off the track.
I think it will depend on what Amaze does, of course. Post race, sort of investigations, if you will.
Finished. Like he's drifting rather than driving now. And I don't think he can go. I think he has to go 2 or 3 more laps on those tyres, or he's going to bail onto the hards, which would be a bit daft at that point.
I think it's really interesting now to see how this is going to unfold, because Melanie, I think you will see him just sort of sit behind Burundi, get the DRS, just keep plugging away. And of course, as you mentioned, 3-second time is going to be such a big implication, because it is a lot of time. Nevertheless, here comes Boris on his teammate, and down towards turn 11. Also, Clone getting involved as well. He popped himself to the inside, trying to make it free wide. It sort of spooked the 2 Williams, and now Sims might drop 2 positions in 1 corner, and now go round the outside at turn 12. Does the racing point as they head up towards turn 14 now. The very difficult, very easy to lock up sections as Clone fought about keeping his nose in, somehow slotted in between the 2 Williams, and somehow not led to contact.
He slide jobbed him. He used an American racing term. He pulled a slide job. Pietro in.
It's early.
Very early.
That's very early.
Sims. Oh. Nearly.
Let's see where he funnels out, because this could be really interesting. There's the guys on the right hand side that we saw the battle we were talking about just a moment ago.
Oh no.
He should come out just ahead. If he can, that'd be crucial for him. As Mont trying to get a switch back on him as they head up through towards turn 2. Pietro has now got clean air to the battle ahead of him.
he has to really drag the brake there, Mont, to not cause the mother of all accidents. Now, that leaves your current race order: Leopard leading, May 2nd, Ronnie 3rd, Melanie 4th, Boris 5th, Sloan 6th, 7th Sims, 8th PF Tomato, 9th Mont, 10th Aiden, 11th Dan, who's still at pit, 12th Brad, 13th Finn, and then Vivid is last, but he's having a bit of a shocker. Surprise! Oh, there you go. He's let Brad through, and he's oh no, Finn's back there. Never mind. I thought Finn was still battling, but never mind.
So this is interesting to note, by the way, that well, usually you see the two Ferraris and they're quite close. They're close together on pace. They're very close together on pace. But obviously Dan opted to start on the medium, stayed out, and of course got all the traffic of all the guys that done the soft and medium strategy, and has now fallen down the order. And his teammate has caught a whole pit stop on him. And that's not really, that goes to show how risky it can be by doing the alternate strategy, because you can get caught in the guys that have gone for the main strategy and just get stuck in traffic and constantly having to let cars go and being overtaken. It costs you so much time.
Well, this is the thing, we're just on that point actually. P2, Amaze, Brody, right behind him pretty much. And Mel is obviously there now. Obviously, Amaze is going to defend from Mel. That's just a bit daft to be good for him. But Perondi's going to have to go for something stupid here, because Amaze isn't shifting. I'm looking back right now from the Scotsman, and look how close this is for Meldy. They've got to hold Perondi off the north, so that when he goes for the move, Meldy can go through. It's going to be one of those situations. If I was Amaze, I'd run the white line on the straight, try and force Perondi out. They stop him on that outside curve. Because that outside curve, you lose so much traction out there. I don't think that's going to be the case. Amaze is going to the white line. He's going to force him. He's going to go for famous pinecone move. Of course, the pinecone of this infamous accident from WR Season 7. Brody, base left, goes right. Now money all the way around. Contact. Amaze turned in. Brody didn't get the best exit. Amaze gets the penalty for it. Brody tries to go all the way around the outside. Amaze completely shoves the door. Poor exit. And after the outside goes Melody. Can Mel go all the way around? No, he can't. Still great defensive work from Amaze. But it might all be in vain. Clone clears Boris. Not quite the main contact. Boris doesn't get the best exit, but he does get back down the inside. Clone side by side through the long right-hander. Great job by the pair of them. Melody's disconnected.
Melody's blacked out.
No! Melody's disconnected to the main force into the pit lane. Still side by side. A BDG Clone and Boris Landbox. Boris gets it there as the ready to the end of the battle.
Here comes Pietro. Where's he come from?
Speed! Gets closed up by Clone. Goes down the inside. Does the Italian. Branch sends it in. Makes contact with Boris. Boris gets it with a great exit. He doesn't do anything like that. They're still side by side heading into the S section. Still there. They make more contact. Boris has to go off the track. Boris was all 4 wheels off. Boris has the position, holds the position, and now Pietro right above the round the outside. No going to do anything about that then.
That was absolutely nail-biting stuff. And somehow they've come out in the same order they entered. Pietro now down the inside at turn 11. Lunge of the century. Forces the racing point onto the curb. And through goes the Italian. You mentioned that has he had issues with race issues throughout the weeks of pace and disappointment. Well, this week he's come out with an absolute blockbuster.
I hurt my voice a lot.
And now, I mean, I don't know where Melanie is. He's back in, isn't he? He's joined the lobby. He's just waiting to get back in control of the car.
He's still not in control.
Pietro down the inside at turn 14 and does it out of the blue and has now got fresh softs and is hunting down Melanie, who's on the podium.
Melody's still in. He can't take the... Now
he's in.
Melody now gets control of his car. He'll still be AI until the game lets him get in control. The game has now given him control at the worst time. Yes, Lovato is through, and that is cruel. Melody, will he set back down the inside?
Oh, he's going to try to get back down the inside!
No! Wasn't good enough.
Stuff here in LCR Season 9. And with 9 laps to go, look at the trade for P3.
Hang on.
Pietro, Boris, Melanie, Boris, Clone and Sims.
Could Pietro catch Brondi?
8 seconds though in just 8.5 laps. That's a big arse.
What time did Pietro doing? He was Okay, he did 35.6 in the last lap, but that was kind of, you know, overtaking people. But then again, I mean, Prondi's only doing mid-34s. If he can get down into the 32s, 33s, he'll catch him. So that's a lot to ask from tyres that are already 2 laps old, but...
I mean, the one thing that is important is that has saved Porondi from being done by Melanie with a penalty issue, because of course he is carrying.
Oh yeah, so that actually might help yet, though. He might get a penalty.
Get within 3 seconds, so just about 5.5. Let's have a quick look through the penalties list though, just to make sure that we haven't missed anyone throughout the race. So Leopard is on his final warning. Porondi, as we mentioned, has 1 time penalty. Pietro doesn't have a penalty. Melanie is clear. Boris is clear. So a lot of people are clear actually in this one. Clone has a penalty, so he's very much an issue. Sims has got 2. That's not going to help him. Mont's got loads. Bat 5. And Aiden, no penalty. And Amazed has 2 penalties.
This could be championship costing Sims. At the moment, he sets forward to 8, potentially 9th. How many did you say Amazed? Single or
yeah,
what?
Maze's got 2s. Maze's got 2, so they're the same.
So if Amazed overtakes him, which he might do on these fresh tyres, the chance, you know. I've already down to 7.5 seconds to Pietro and Porondi. I'm trying to script for the entire last lap, so I have no idea how much he was gaining. What I do have is the lap time. Both of them clean air, remember, on the last lap. Porondi did a 34.650, Pietro Mato 33.492. He keeps it up, he will get in that margin. Pretty comfortable.
So if Pietro was to do this, he would become the 57th different LCR podium sitter in the history of the league.
58 now.
57th because Lidl.
Oh yeah. I thought they were just
so 57th different LCR podium sitter in the history, and we'll add to Italy's.
I think
Italy has had 1 podium in its history.
Who was it?
I believe it might have been UK Army.
Alright, okay. Season...
The archives, yes. SF Preg in season 5.
Oh.
Canada scored the podium for the Italian nationality.
I didn't know you
could. Yeah, you could upgrade it. Yeah, SF Preg, the same person. Well, Amazed lunges Aiden at turn 1. Can he get the switch back though? Aiden trying to hold his own. And amazingly, he gets past in turn 1. This would be quite a crucial move, Aaron.
That was sent for a decade ago. That was sent for a decade back. He just launched it up for the best, and this time hoping for the best was an actual overtake and P9. That car still looks loose as hell, I would say. Down to 6 seconds behind Pietro on Porondi.
Yes, 3 seconds to gain in about 5 laps or so. Of course, the soft tyres will continue to grain though. Of course, he pitted, and we mentioned this very early. 11 laps he's doing on them tyres in total, so he's a fair stint in the end, really. And you said that we had guys coming in 7, 8 at the start of the race. Of course, I know lighter fuel loads. It's obviously going to be a bit better on tyre weight, but still, nevertheless, it's still a hell of a stint. But means he is going to have to very slightly as his car off, and Mon, after what I was saying, it could have been a really good day. He's got plenty of gap behind him to Apex, so he should be fine anyway. And still will score a point, but he's still struggling and spun again. Yeah. The exit of turn number 12. Not how I'm sure he'd envisioned the last few laps, but it was looking good for the hard one.
Yeah. At the moment, he's still got 13 seconds to down, so he might be okay. So that gap's going to keep coming down. Tries to get second over territory. Miles Montline as well, just coming to the pit, the partner tire. Moving independently. Now down in 14th place. 5.5 seconds now. I think Pietro going to do so.
Into the pit comes Mon. Mon is in.
Yeah, he has to. Oh yeah, exactly what I said.
Yeah, so he's just decided to call it quits, which is now, by the way,
down in the points.
Down in the points. Does the fairy tale story continue?
How many races now?
It will go to, excuse me for just a second, I'll just quickly work this out. 5 races on the bounce for points for Ferrari, 4 on the bounce for Dan.
Oof.
Wow, where has this come from? The story continues. Of course, it might not be all done yet.
Yeah,
It's
there is
dragging
a
the penalty.
There is a Finn there. Now, Finn has 3 penalties. Dan has 3. Oh, it's a fight.
Is it a straight shoot?
It's a straight shoot. They're both going to take our penalties. I'm going to keep. I tell you what, I'm going to try to keep it out of the gaps between Prodi and Pietro. I'm also going to watch the fight because Brad is with it as well. How many penalties does Brad have? Don't tell me if Brad takes away from Dan. That's going to be. Brad has 3. Oh God.
Oh, you couldn't script it. You tried.
Oh, hello. We have a battle for the last point position between 3 men who will bring together the entire season. Well, the entire season Finn's been racing. For final point
Actually, you say that, Finn is Finn has been here longer than Brad.
Is he? He's been racing.
Yeah, Finn on the record. So Dan is the second registered LCR driver, of course, after Tractor 1, the American.
It was Brad, being from America.
He's number 3.
No, not quite this time.
Not quite just yet. And Brad is the 23rd. This is revenge. One before him, LCR record.
Okay. That would have been season 3, then. I think that would have been the first round of season 3, though.
Yes, it was. Australia is meanwhile Clone flies past Boris in the P5.
Well, he might get P4.
Quite a good drive from Racing Point.
For those who don't know who Clone is, he's formerly BSR Clone Troop, formerly WR Clone Troop. From last season, of course, racing for Williams last year, and I believe back end of the season he had a couple of poles. I remember he getting pole in Mexico, and prize and hell, Boris is now disconnected.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Well, and I bet you Dan's going to try and invite him back as well. Oh no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it before Dan wins his own battle.
So Amaze gets past him. He's now down to P7. His teammates about 1 second back. So here we go. Because Boris doesn't actually carry a penalty either. So
yeah,
he's doing fairly okay. But as for the race leader, we haven't really talked about him. About 3.5 laps to go for him, and Leopard. Well, the first part of the race.
Just seen it. Sorry, got gosh it. It's nearly there.
3.4. It is coming down, isn't it?
Sorry, gosh it there.
Corundi's got. You think about it, Corundi's isn't that much time to Pietro behind, but he's got the freshest mediums of those that done the soft medium strategy.
I'd like to attention to this as well. That's going to be 10 points lost to Leopard. That's 30 points. I also think Leopard's going to move up into second place of the championship. Which I think it might get a point of a Melanie. There's no fast lap point, so that doesn't have to come into account. In case people care, that's actually going to go to Vivid at the moment. Or well, it won't. It'll actually go to the highest berth in the top 10. Which goes
Maze flies past Clone in the P5. The bridesmaid has got to head the Racing Point. He's on the softs, of course, don't forget. The next guy ahead of him is his teammate.
Yeah, he could be. Could get potentially. How far is Melanie in front? Basically nothing. I don't think he's going to catch Pietro, but Pietro's too busy getting into Melanie. Brody, sorry, 3.2. It's very close. Brody's going to have to stop pushing soon to try and hold that gap back. But what was the last laps between them? Brody did a 30. Oh, 34. That'll explain that. Brody did a 35 laps to go. Really poor lap. 34.7. Brody on the last lap. 34.2. The half a lap, that's enough.
Yeah, he's going to do it. It's very... There we go. For the first time it's dropped under 3 seconds. Brad has now took the podium, and you have to say, in his home race, I'm sure he'll want that one.
I'm going to keep checking in case penalties come up for any of these guys. In case any of them get any more penalties.
So we're riding on board with Pietro, but we'll go towards Leopard now, of course. So as you mentioned, as it stands, he'll go down to 30 points off the championship leader with 4 rounds to go. Which still would mean, by the way, that, of course, if Burundi were to win, if Leopard were to win every race and Burundi was to finish second, he would still do enough by 2 points. So all Burundi's got to do is just finish as close as possible, really, to Leopard in the next few rounds. to prevent him being a 6-time champion, allow Brazil to have their second of 2 season champions.
Second consecutive champion, of course. It'd be a great story for Brazil. There's been somebody over the midfield. It's Clone.
Oh, Clone!
Oh no! Well, that's such a good race. Goes round. Such a shame for Clone. He looks so good for him, but well,
Defeating again, by the way. He's now done. He's now his 5th stop of the race, and in fact, he's out.
yeah,
So his fifth stop is the fatal one.
yeah.
You know the old saying, third time's the charm. Well, in Vivid's case, it was the 5th.
Yeah, well, so yeah, in the second of that B4 Vivid's car. Don't think we're gonna have it. Oh, hello, Rodney. Hang on a minute. He's took a second.
Pulled the.
He took a second out of Leopard. Is Leopard struggling on tyres?
Because he has done 18 laps, so you could say yes, potentially.
They don't look horrific. They don't particularly look best condition, but they don't look like they're going to implode.
But they have done a fair stint. You have to comment that. You know, they've been out there for a long time, so could be a possibility. Meanwhile, Amaze continues to close towards his teammate. I don't know. I mean, of course, Amaze has penalties anyway, so I think Melanie is clear.
Yeah.
So, what do? Should Amaze be let go, or is there a car off and it's Flying Finn?
Oh no!
The American-based team at Haas has only had one victory. It comes right here with Jam Pancake 2 seasons ago. It's not been the ideal day today for them. It's Flying Finn is going to drop really far behind, and that pretty much all but confirms Ferrari will score another points weekend this weekend.
Yeah.
On to the final lap we go though, and it's Leopard.
He's 6 seconds. So the good news for Amazed is he's got back to Boris to be the main person he'd lose out to pretty comfortably. He's just cleared Melanie now P4. Melanie does have a crap of penalties, so it'll be alright, mate. Ow.
So here comes Leopard heading now down towards turn 11. To talk you through the stats, by the way, for the German, of course, he is the most successful man. It'll be victory number 40 of his career and his 17th pole to win. But that one most certainly doesn't tell the entire story. He timed an undercut to absolute perfection, managing to get a perfect 2-1 match respectively to his main rivals, and it ultimately done enough. He has now controlled the race through the second half, and it has been a Leopard-esque display, as he now potentially does look more and more like a threat in the championship, despite joining only at the Canadian Grand Prix way back as round number 6. But here in round 12, it'll be his 4th victory of the season. He's had to wait 2 weeks to grab his another one. Victory number 40 of his career. LCR Leopard wins the US Grand Prix, and it's a new podium sitter in Pietro who grabs it today, with Viral Purundi yet again on the podium, but not able to back up the P1 we saw last week. And May crosses the line P4, but it's P4 for his teammate instead, Melanie, with a damage limitation. It's amazed P6 because Aiden crosses the line in P5, and Brad in his home race. I'm sure this is how he wanted to finish it. 1 point going for the Ferrari today. He's had to wait way back at the British Grand Prix for that one, but here in America it's 1 point for him, 10th place for Brad.